Unfuck Yourself. Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop. Note 1. You are the only thing standing in your way. Oftentimes we find ourselves stuck in a rut, feeling sorry, like we just can't seem to win. In this book, Bishop reminds us that when all hope seems lost, we should remember that simply being alive is a miracle in and of itself. Every day we have a choice. We can either allow each day to pass us by, feeling lost and hopeless, or we can grab life by the horns. More often than not, we stand in our own way, blocking our own path to living a happy and free life. What's worse is, we don't even realize what we're doing to ourselves. Ultimately, with Bishop as our guide, we are able to understand our shortcomings and begin to take charge of our own destiny. With this step-by-step guide to understanding what we can't control and regaining our journey, we are truly able to unfuck ourselves. Note 2. Change your language and be self-assertive. One of the most important tips Bishop gives the reader is not only to change the way we think, but also to make a conscious effort to change the way we speak to others and, most importantly, to ourselves. Words are far more powerful than we may realize, and the wrong ones can truly cause damage. The right words, on the other hand, can change everything. Bishop says that when we begin to replace saying "I will be" with "I am," we change more than just a few letters. With the first statement, we are saying we hope for something to happen, but we also open the door for disappointment to walk in. However, when we replace it with "I am," we are able to manifest the idea into reality, rather than just wishing something would happen. According to numerous studies, scientists believe that approximately 50,000 thoughts pass through our heads every day. Are your thoughts positive? Negative? Encouraging? Self-deprecating? We have 50,000 opportunities every day to either beat ourselves down or build ourselves up, and whichever we choose impacts everything else we do and feel. What you say to yourself also has a massive impact on how you see yourself. If you are constantly saying, "I can't" or "I shouldn't," you create a negative perception of what you are, or rather, aren't capable of. Whereas if you are continually striving to paint a picture of yourself as a winner in your own mind, you will eventually believe that you are. This "I am" battle Bishop has put in front of us is what he likes to call being self-assertive. What he means is to be so sure of who you are and what you want that nothing can stop you. So Bishop turns "I am" into "I am willing," and a bold new set of actions are born. He breaks these down into 7 declarations. Note 3. I am willing. This may be the simplest yet most powerful concept Bishop outlines. It is the foundation from which Bishop builds his entire premise. He explains that more often than not, the reason people struggle to make a change in their lives is due to their unwillingness to take the first step, not because they don't want to. If we are willing to take the first step, make the initial change, and do what it takes to reach our goal, there is little that we will be unable to accomplish. When we are willing, we open up the ability to manifest our dreams. On the flip side of this, if we are not willing and are unable to change our situation, Bishop says the worst thing you can do is blame yourself. He reminds us that this is an attitude not of acceptance, but of forgiveness, and keeps the door open to the possibility of change in the future. Whereas when we cast blame on ourselves, we create a negative perception of ourselves and can easily get stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and an inability to take action. Note 4. I am wired to win. By refusing to lose, you will always win. Bishop states that you are constantly in a state of winning just by doing. When you say yes to anything, you win in that moment. Eating ice cream? You win at accomplishing the task of finding ice cream. Taking a nap? You win at being able to fall asleep. Overwhelmed by too many tasks at work? Maybe you're winning at the game of not being able to say no. We also dive into the subconscious a bit here. Once we understand that our subconscious is responsible for 95% of what we do on a daily basis, we can figure out how to break away and conquer a new task. The last point Bishop touches on here is how to go about changing the problem areas you may be dealing with. He says that you first must create a game plan for how you are going to transform the situation. Determine exactly what it is you want to change, how you're going to get there, and what the end result will look like. It is ultimately your choice to play or change the game. Simply put, just stop doing what you want to stop winning at. Note 5. I got this. This chapter is all about perception. Bishop warns against the idea of perfection because in actuality, nothing is perfect. And he elaborates on how this perceived idea may cause hard times to seem more desolate. He describes those times in which you may feel down on your luck and start pitying yourself. Because of the chain reaction of negativity, these experiences tend to seep into every possible aspect of your life if you allow it. Instead of allowing this negative mindset and frustration to ooze all over our lives, Bishop offers a solution to keeping it at bay. This two-part approach suggests that we first change our view of the situation entirely. Yes, something shitty happened, but that doesn't mean you have to let it control everything around you. When we choose to take on an optimistic view, we see these downfalls as nothing more than a growth opportunity. Likewise, we are told to shift our perspective not just on a specific problem, but entirely. Everyone has problems, some worse than others. However, if we look back on previously encountered problems after the fact, they may seem unimportant now. So it is likely that our current problems will seem trivial in the future, and our future problems will be easy enough to overcome if we adopt a positive outlook. Note 6. I embrace the uncertainty. Certainty is almost always the product of a need for safety. We crave knowledge of what's happening and what's going to happen. Just knowing we have even an ounce of control makes us feel safe. Certainty is a safety blanket and one that we need to stop carrying around with us. Risk is one of life's great necessities. Without it, we would still be stuck in the caves, spending all day trying to find food or start a fire. Risks have led to some incredible things that make life easier, like electricity and modern medicine to start. Those may be extreme examples, and obviously, the risks we take on in our lives are typically not going to amount to that, but even the little things we do take a risk on are necessary. Take your favorite food, for example. You wouldn't know you even liked it had you not stepped out of your comfort zone and tried it in the first place. Once we allow ourselves to become comfortable with the idea of the unknown, we open ourselves up to immense possibility. Bishop points out that if our goal is to be successful, there is a need for risk. If we cannot venture into the unknown, then we are living in the past, and there is nothing productive that can come from settling into the familiar. Bishop also notes that the fear of uncertainty can stem from fear of judgment. He reminds us that this hinders our ability to be successful. If we allow other people's opinions to matter, we make room for doubt and cloud our vision, thereby losing our perception of a successful self. Uncertainty is inevitable. Embrace it. Note 7. I am not my thoughts. I am what I do. Focusing on our thoughts is not so different than focusing on other people's opinions of us. Neither one really matters, and both can stand in the way of us accomplishing our goals. However, the difference is that we have the ability to control our own consciousness and thereby control our actions. Bishop believes that it is not our thoughts that make us either successful or unsuccessful, but rather our actions or the thoughts which we act on. While there is a debate on whether or not we can control our thoughts, Bishop sees this practice as more or less a waste of time. He says that what makes people truly great is not controlling every thought they have, but deciding which ones to put into motion. Therefore, you are not your thoughts and should not base your perception of yourself on them. Everyone has negative thoughts, some more than others, but it's a common thread we all share. As we've said, how we act on these thoughts determines who we are. So if we choose to ignore the negative ones and act positively instead, we become a more positive person. Similarly, if we want to change our lives, we have to act on that desire. Once we start doing something about it, that's when the change will happen. We also tend to become more confident the moment we take action. Worrying about what could happen breeds doubt, But seeing yourself accomplish something you were previously unsure of teaches you to be confident in your abilities and encourages you to take more risks in the future. Note 8. I am relentless. We've all seen the quote, "Be relentless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." What we haven't seen is someone like Bishop deconstructing this idea into actionable steps that lead to success. In order to understand just how powerful we are, Bishop tells us to visualize our previous successes and how they were achieved. He then makes the assumption, presumably not wrong, that there was some amount of discomfort, risk, or sacrifice involved in each of these. He also assumes that in order to accomplish these tasks, we have to be relentless in our desire for success. This concept of relentlessness, Bishop says, is how we are to overcome the obstacles which present themselves as distractions to getting whatever it is we want. When obstacles such as doubt and confusion set in, that is when we must be the most relentless. Recall why you began the pursuit in the first place. What is the goal? What is it that's getting in your way or slowing you down? Determine the roadblock and then tell it to fuck off. Bishop says that we have to agree to something for it to become our reality. Therefore, if you don't agree to this thing standing in your way, then you simply cannot be stopped by it. You must remain resolute in your determination to reach your goal. If you make a mistake, take too long, or get discouraged at times, it's okay. The journey doesn't have to look exactly the way you imagined it would, but whatever you do, do not stop for anything. Keep going, push through, and be relentless. Note 9. I expect nothing and accept everything. Shit happens. Things don't go according to plan, and the whole thing may seem like it was doomed. Doesn't matter. Accept the challenge, reroute, and welcome the reality of what comes your way. We may not always be able to control what happens, but we can control how we respond to the situation. Expecting the unexpected seems counterproductive. On the contrary, Bishop says that when we set expectations, we are often setting ourselves up for disappointment. Even if we don't realize we have an expectation for the task at hand, we likely do, and with that, we leave the door wide open for disappointment. Not only that, but our expectations may be so strong that they distract us from other progress or possibilities. When things don't go the way we want, we may become angry, disappointed, or feel various forms of negative emotions. What we don't experience is relief or a sense of control. To combat this, Bishop says we should always try to expect that things aren't going to go the way we anticipated, and that's okay. We simply have to accept and move on. Once we make a conscious effort to practice this, we take away the opportunity for disappointment. We become much more flexible, and we are able to appreciate the process. In the end, it isn't so much about how we get to the goal as it is about making it to the end. With this tool belt, we are able to consistently be in a state of action instead of a state of mere thought. We allow ourselves to do instead of wishing we could. Note 10. Conclusion. Everything we do is fueled by something. The trick then is to not let that something that is fueling us be fear or negativity. These emotions can rule our lives if we let them, or we can choose to kick them to the curb and regain control. Our thoughts are not enough, though. Simply wishing to be in control of a situation or hoping something would happen will not change anything other than the amount of time wasted in a day. When we are willing to make a change and take affirmative steps towards it, that is when the biggest differences are made. We must remember to embrace uncertainty, expect things to go wrong, and know how to respond when they do. This plan of attack will surely lead you towards success, even if it takes you a little while to get there.